I want you to take a second and just picture a legal process server.
Right.
If you're like most people, you probably have a very specific image in your head, like maybe it's someone in a wrinkled trench coat.
Oh, yeah. Or a guy in a really bad delivery driver disguise holding a cold pizza box.
Exactly. Jumping out from behind a tall hedge just to yell, "You've been served!" It's a classic Hollywood trope that was just been burned into our brains. But welcome to the deep dive, where today we're looking at the reality of the year 2026.
Yeah.
The job today, it doesn't involve fake mustaches or hiding in the bushes. Instead, we are looking at a world governed by blockchain technology, anti-deepfake metadata, and highly tactical dispatch protocols.
It is a complete paradigm shift. I mean, the days of simply handing over a piece of paper, checking a box, and walking away, those are entirely behind us. Today, we're looking at the operations of Lafayette Process Servers, LLC, zooming in specifically on their North Shore division.
Which is known as Metairie Process Servers, right?
Exactly. We're going to examine how they operate in Covington and St. Tammany Parish, Louisiana, just to understand what this industry actually looks like now.
So our mission for you today is to explore how modern legal compliance and artificial intelligence have completely transformed this age-old profession from the ground up. We're going to look at how this specific company manages to blend, old school boots on the ground detective work with a highly futuristic digital framework.
Because having both the street smarts and the tech is really the only way to survive in today's incredibly intense legal landscape.
Okay, let's unpack this. We need to start with the event that really acted as the catalyst for all of this technological adaptation.
Right, Louisiana Act 352.
Yeah.
To really grasp the technology they use, you have to understand the hostile environment that demanded it in the first place.
Yeah.
As of January 1st, 2026, Louisiana Act 352 went into full deployment.
And that completely redefined the litigation timeline in St. Tammany Parish, didn't it?
It did. The most significant shift here is the death of what was known as the postmark rule. For decades, the postmark rule was the ultimate safety net for legal professionals. If you mailed a legal document by a certain date, the physical ink postmark stamped on the envelope by the post office
served as ironclad proof that you met your deadline.
Exactly. It didn't matter if the letter got lost in transit and arrived at the courthouse 3 weeks later.
Wait, so if I drop a massive legal filing in the mail on Monday, and the postal sorting machine eats it until Friday under the old rules, I was still perfectly fine.
You were totally protected. The court looked at the date on the stamp, not the day it landed on the clerk's desk. But Act 352 completely wipes that safety net away.
Wow.
The postmark rule no longer protects filers from late entries. If it isn't physically or digitally in the clerk's possession by the deadline, you are late.
And in the legal world, being late can mean your entire case is thrown out.
Oh, absolutely. But the law goes even further than just strict deadlines. Act 352 shifts the liability for PII. Personally identifiable information leaks directly onto the filer.
Let's put this in real-world terms so you can really feel the stakes of what that means. Imagine you're a paralegal or an attorney involved in a high-stakes lawsuit, right? You have a critical filing due in an hour.
Stressful enough as it is.
Exactly. So you go through the PDF on your computer, you draw those black digital boxes over your client's social security number, their banking details, all of that highly sensitive stuff. You look at your screen, it looks perfectly safe, so you submit it to the clerk's window.
But what you didn't realize is that underneath that black digital box, the hidden metadata of the PDS still contains that social security number in plain text.
Yes, you didn't actually erase the data, you just put a digital sticker over it.
Which is a remarkably common mistake. Anyone with a basic text scraping tool could just pull that hidden text right out of the document.
Right, and under Act 352, the moment you submit that, your filing gets immediately rejected at the clerk's window.
Yeah.
You miss your deadline, your client's data is flagged as compromised, and your entire case is in serious jeopardy, all because of invisible metadata.
That is a nightmare scenario that keeps legal professionals awake at night. And it illustrates the exact problem that Lafayette Process Servers dispatch team is designed to solve. They don't just take a piece of paper and run it to the courthouse.
They do a lot more than that.
Oh, yeah. They perform a mandatory redaction audit on every single document they handle before it ever reaches the clerk. They're looking beyond the visual layer of the paper to audit the digital footprint.
So they're checking the metadata.
Precisely. Their systems are designed to catch that hidden metadata and ensure absolutely no unredacted PII triggers a rejection at the window. They essentially act as a digital firewall for the law firms that hire them.
But it isn't just the court system demanding this level of tech-savvy operation. In this 2026 landscape, the entire digital ecosystem is shifting. The search algorithms are changing the game. Google's AI now actively prioritizes process-serving firms that can provide real-time digital proof of filing over those still relying on traditional paper returns.
This makes perfect sense when you think about it from the user's perspective. If an attorney is frantically searching for a process server in St. Tammany Parish, Google's AI knows that attorney needs Act 352 compliance.
Right.
The algorithm will actually penalize and hide process servers who still operate out of a filing cabinet while boosting the firms that have an integrated real-time digital infrastructure.
So if courts are rejecting anything that isn't digitally bulletproof and search engines are hiding companies that can't provide it, how does an old-school process-serving company even build that kind of backend? I mean, they're legal experts, not necessarily software engineers.
That is the invisible bridge connecting local businesses today. To survive, you need a profoundly strong digital foundation. A factual example of this behind-the-scenes digital infrastructure is a company called 337 Media.
Okay.
They're an Acadiana brand specifically recognized for building websites and mastering local SEO search engine optimization. They act as the technological backbone for successful Acadiana brands like Lafayette process servers.
It really shows how interconnected local business ecosystems have become. You have the boots-on-the-ground legal experts in the field handling the complex court mandates, but they're entirely supported by digital media experts on the back end.
Exactly.
337 Media is essentially the engine ensuring that when an attorney is facing a panic-inducing deadline, Lafayette process servers actually shows up at the top of those AI-driven search results. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. We've talked about the broader digital ecosystem and the back-end SEO, but let's look at the actual tech this company deploys out in the streets. Let's talk about the Truth Engine protocol.
The Truth Engine protocol is a proprietary 2026 verification system. It's a brilliant example of how the industry has had to adapt to a world where human testimony is no longer enough and seeing is no longer believing.
Yeah.
The protocol is built on three distinct pillars. The first pillar is GPS-stamped geofencing. And this goes way beyond dropping a simple pin on a digital map.
Because anyone can just spoof their location on a smartphone.
Right.
You could claim you were at a courthouse while actually sitting at a coffee shop 3 blocks away.
Precisely. A standard GPS pin is practically useless in a modern court. Geofencing, however, establishes mathematical proof of proximity. It restricts the server's device to a highly specific geographic radius, sometimes down to the square meter of the target location, and mathematically proves they were physically standing there at the exact moment the service was executed.
That's intense.
It is. And the second pillar is blockchain-locked metadata. This is primarily an anti-deepfake verification measure, which is critical in an age where digital evidence can be artificially generated in seconds.
Think of it like a digital wax seal on an envelope. If you try to open the envelope and change the letter inside, the seal shatters and everyone knows it was tampered with.
That is a great way to visualize it. Blockchain locking ensures that the metadata associated with the process time, the geofenced location, the digital signature is permanently recorded on a decentralized ledger. It cannot be retroactively altered, edited, or faked by anyone.
Not even the process server themselves.
Nope, not even them. And that leads to the third pillar, immediate electronic filing. The moment the GPS and blockchain verifications are locked, the system executes an immediate electronic filing directly to the court. This perfectly ensures Act 352 compliance and secures the legal timeline before the process server has even walked back to their car.
What's amazing is stepping back and thinking about why all of this is necessary. Why go through the trouble of military-grade geofencing and decentralized blockchain ledgers just to hand someone an envelope?
What's fascinating here is the legal strategy behind it all. The entire goal of the Truth Engine protocol is to completely eliminate technical risks and to survive what is known as a motion to quash.
Right, and for those who might not be familiar with the term, a motion to quash is basically a formal legal challenge where the opposing party tries to invalidate the entire service. It's a tactic to stall or completely derail a lawsuit. They might stand before a judge and argue, I was never served, or the person who served me wasn't actually there, or even the video evidence of the service was digitally altered using AI.
In the past, it often came down to a he said, she said argument between the process server and the defendant. But by utilizing this protocol, the server provides an insurmountable wall of cryptographic evidence. As the founder, Scott Frank, puts it, in the 2026 legal landscape, Transparency isn't an option, it's a requirement. We don't just deliver papers, we deliver the irrefutable proof the court demands.
Wow.
When a judge sees blockchain-verified metadata, a motion to quash based on a fake alibi is instantly shut down.
But despite all of this talk about algorithms, blockchain, and automated filing, we can't forget the physical reality of the job, because an app cannot physically hand a subpoena to a hostile witness.
Very true.
Someone still has to get out of their car, walk up to a building, and interact with another human being. The boots-on-the-ground legwork is still absolutely vital. And that brings us to the human element of this operation, spearheaded by that founder, Scott Frank.
Right. Scott Frank is a UL Lafayette alumnus who brings over 20 years of boots-on-the-ground Louisiana field experience to the table. He isn't just managing from an office somewhere. He personally oversees all operations for the 22nd Judicial District Court, also known as the 22nd JDC. He's also explicitly listed as a CCP Art, 1293 specialist.
We are definitely going to dive into the psychological judo of what CCP Art 1293 allows them to do in a moment, but first, let's look at how they physically organize a massive operation like this. To cover a region as vast and diverse as the North Shore, you need serious logistics.
You really do.
Their overarching operations are based out of a main hub in Metairie at One Galleria Boulevard. But to handle the specific localized demands of St. Tammany Parish, they utilize a Covington operations hub located in the 510E Boston Street area.
In legal logistics, geographic positioning is everything. That Covington hub places them strategically near their primary court route, which targets the Covington Justice Center at 701 and Columbia Street. This allows them to effectively dominate the critical 70433 and 70435 zip codes. The Covington Justice Center is really the legal heart of the North Shore, serving Covington, Manville, and Slidell.
Having that physical proximity allows for some truly fascinating field tactics. This was a major light bulb moment for me when reviewing these materials. It's one thing to have the right technology, but it's another thing entirely to deeply understand human psychology and the physical rhythms of a city.
Oh.
Take, for example, their Causeway Timing Advantage.
This is a brilliant piece of logistical strategy. The dispatch team purposefully stages their units to hit the Highway 190 business corridor, specifically between 10:40 a.m. and 1:30 p.m.
And the reason why is hilarious, but so true. They do this to completely bypass what they call the phantom lunch hour.
Yes.
If you're trying to serve papers on a corporate registered agent, the person officially designated to receive lawsuits for a company, there is a notorious window in the middle of the day where these agents seemingly vanish into thin air. Suddenly they're out to a 3-hour lunch, or they're in midday meetings, or they're just completely indisposed the moment a process server walks into the lobby.
It's a well-known evasion tactic.
Yeah.
By targeting that specific late morning to early afternoon window along the Causeway corridor, they maximize the probability that the target will actually be physically present at their desk and available to be served before the phantom lunch hour begins.
It's basically compliance hunting. And then you have the stress of the Friday rule. If you're working in a law firm and you have a rush service that absolutely must be handled before the weekend, you can't just email it over at 4:30 p.m. and hope for the best.
Not at all.
In Covington, Friday afternoon rush serves must arrive at their dispatch by 1:00 p.m. This is a hard deadline. It's mathematically calculated to guarantee that the field team has enough time to execute the physical serve and complete the electronic filing at the 22nd JDC before the clerk's office locks its doors for the weekend.
It's helpful to understand their standard timelines here, too. Routine service typically sees a first attempt within 3 to 5 business days. But if a law firm activates that rush service and they hit those strict dispatch deadlines, they're guaranteed an attempt within 24 to 48 hours.
That brings up a massive physical roadblock, though. If they're operating on the North Shore, they're dealing with highly exclusive areas. The materials specifically highlight places like Tchefuncta Club Estates. You have security guards whose entire job is to keep uninvited people out of those gated communities. How on earth does an app or a geofence help you get past a physical security guard who is telling you to turn your car around?
This is where that CCP Art 1293 specialization becomes a game changer. It's a masterful blend of psychological and legal strategy. When approaching a high-security gated community, the agents don't argue with the security guards. They don't try to sneak in behind a resident, and they certainly don't try to bluff their way past.
Right.
Instead, they present a CCP Art 1293 appointment order. This is a powerful legal document that essentially states the server is acting as an appointed officer of the court for this specific action.
So it changes the entire dynamic of the conversation. It goes from the guard saying, you can't come in here, to the process server saying, I am here on behalf of the court. How can we facilitate this together?
Exactly. By leveraging this authority, they convert the security guards from obstacles into professional allies. They legally compel cooperation to gain access to the target without causing a scene or breaking the law.
It's incredibly effective. And we have actual testimonials that prove this efficiency isn't just marketing speak. Melissa D., a senior paralegal at a Covington law firm, is quoted saying, "We moved all our North Shore filings to this team after Act 352 went live. Their zero-gap filing means I have a stamped receipt in my inbox before I leave for the day."
Zero-gap filing is such a powerful industry term. It means there is absolutely no lag time between the moment of service out in the field and the moment of legal verification back at the law firm. Robert H., a litigation attorney, also emphasizes this tactical approach. He notes that their knowledge of gated communities in Covington is unmatched, stating they don't just knock on doors, they execute a tactical plan that holds up in court.
So what does this all mean? It means that to be successful in 2026, a process server has to be a hybrid. They need the street smarts to navigate the causeway, bypass the phantom lunch hour, and handle security guards using legal appointments. But that has to be perfectly synchronized with a blockchain truth engine that immediately spits out a zero-gap filing receipt.
It's a wild combination of skills.
It really is. But with all this authority, with the ability to bypass security guards and use military-grade geofencing, we need to talk about the guardrails. Where does their power end?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is vital to understand the strict boundaries of their authority. The framework they operate within is very clear on clarifying their roles. While they are court-appointed under the Louisiana Code of Civil Procedure Article 1293, they are emphatically not law enforcement.
Right.
They are not police officers, and they are not employees of the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office.
There are actually explicit legal disclaimers about this. They state clearly that they provide logistical and administrative support only. They do not offer legal advice. You cannot hire them to look at your case files and tell you how to win your lawsuit.
Furthermore, they clearly address the investigative side of their business. Any skip tracing, which is the investigative process of tracking down a person's whereabouts when they are hiding, is done strictly in connection with a process service under a court appointment.
Got it.
They do not act as private investigators for the general public. You cannot just walk in off the street and hire them to follow a business partner. Their sophisticated investigative tools are legally bound to the execution of court orders.
Which is why industry verification and professional accountability are so deeply important for them. When you are wielding this kind of logistical power and you're constantly accessing sensitive PII, the public and the courts need undeniable proof that you're trustworthy. They operate under a massive framework of accountability. They are A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, verifying their ethical business practices. They are active members in both the St. Tammany and New Orleans Chambers of Commerce, integrating them deeply into the regional business community.
And looking at it on a national level, they are platinum members of NAPPS, the National Association of Professional Process Servers. This is a crucial distinction because it means they combine nationwide reach and top-tier industry standards with that highly specific local North Shore expertise. They are held to the highest standards of their industry on both a micro and macro level.
It's a lot to take in, and we've covered a tremendous amount of ground today. For you listening, whether you're currently prepping for your own legal proceeding or you're just insanely curious about how traditional everyday jobs are adapting to the artificial intelligence age, I think the takeaway here is incredibly clear.
Yeah.
The job of a process server is no longer just handing an envelope to a stranger in a driveway. It's a highly tactical precision operation. It requires understanding causeway timing to catch corporate agents before they vanish. It requires the psychological know-how to navigate complex gated communities. And most importantly, it requires shielding the entire process in anti-deepfake metadata and blockchain verification just to ensure it actually holds up in a court of law.
This raises an important question, something really profound to think about as we wrap up today's deep dive. We've seen that simply handing a legal document to someone in 2026 now requires blockchain-locked verification and GPS geofencing just to prove to a judge that the event genuinely happened and wasn't a sophisticated digital deepfake. If the threshold for truth has become that incredibly demanding in the legal world, what other everyday administrative interactions in our lives are about to require undeniable cryptographic proof of reality?
It's a wild thought. Are we going to need blockchain verification just to sign an apartment lease or accept a package or prove we attended a meeting? It really makes you look at the digital footprints we leave behind every day in a completely different light. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the world around you, keep looking for those hidden layers of technology in your everyday life, and as always, keep exploring.